What is up, everyone? Welcome to my channel. This is Down to Fly Creations. My name is Brett, and today we're going to tie the soft Hackle Egan's Frenchie jig. I use this fly on many freestone rivers around my area of Montana. I'm super excited to start filming and creating tying videos and more fishy content this year. So stay tuned and let's get into tying the soft Hackle Frenchie jig. Today we're using the CZ mini jig Barbless by Ahrex. Great hooks, they stay sharp no matter what, even if you snag. And then we're using a 3.0mm bead on that hook there and fluorescent fire orange for a collar on this fly. Work that down to about half that hook shank. Snip that tag out, cover that snip, and then I'm gonna go ahead and work that back up, and I'll push my fingers up against that bead, and we'll go ahead and just throw down a bunch of wraps, and then I'll build a nice dam right behind that bead there. We're going to pause there and tie in our tail feathers. Now we're just going to go ahead and pull this feather back here, expose some of those fibers, and we're going to go measure it to about the length of the hook. I'm going to cut that off just a little bit and then just tie that into the top. Work those fibers up. I don't care if they spin around the hook. I'm just going to do them to the bead to help build that body size up. And then we're going to go ahead and wrap back down to about a couple wraps behind our thread there. Go ahead and take our silver wire and small and tie that in here. So I like to tie in and leave about 1/4 inch exposed, wrap up to it and fold it back. And then I will wrap back and secure it to those tail fibers. We'll work back up to that top there. And now we're going to use our pheasant tail here. Pull off about, I'd say 10 to 12 barbs. I like to go pretty heavy on this. Tie those tips in, make sure they're covered so we have a bare body of the fly. Work those down to the tail again. Work that thread up to the top of this fly into the bead there. So now I'm going to take this Zap-A-Gap here, and we're just going to apply that Zap-A-Gap to the back so that when we wrap that pheasant tail, it'll glue down to that body there. And be pretty gentle here because these can break on you pretty easy. I'm going to go ahead and just wrap these up the hook shank here, building that pheasant tail body, and we're going to do that all the way to the head of this fly. And then we're just going to do 2 wraps behind, 2 wraps in front, 1 behind, and I'll cut those out there. So now after we cut those out, we're going to go ahead and take that wire, and I spun the pheasant tail that way, so I'm going to go ahead and do the wire the opposite way, so that way it counter sinks those pheasant tail wraps. We're going to go ahead and wrap that all the way up. Same thing with the wire. One across, front and behind, and then we're just going to helicopter that off once that's secure. Alrighty, so now we're almost at the end. Pretty simple fly. Let's go ahead and make a dummy noodle with some ice dub and UV shrimp here. I use this little dispenser from Hairline, and then it's just easy to grab, and this one I've actually refilled. You can just buy the ice dub packets, and they're about equivalent to a single pack when you buy those. So we'll go ahead and wrap this collar on here. I like to do them pretty thick. I like to work back to build that collar and then use those last wraps to work up through it, and then I'll kind of also secure those wraps a little bit too. So once we have that collar in, then we're going to go ahead and move to our Hungarian partridge here. I have the Hungarian partridge skin here from Nature Spirit. Go ahead and strip the bottom barbs off of that guy. And then we're going to go ahead and grab just the tip, wet the fingers a little bit and pull those feathers back. And I'll show you right here exactly what that looks like, and that'll leave you a nice little tip to tie in there. So now we're just going to go ahead and tie that tip in here. Do a couple wraps. Cut out that feather here. We're going to go ahead and cut out those strands here. Alright, you got those cut. And now I'm going to go ahead and grab my hackle pliers here and grab the base of this partridge feather. And as I pull it up here, I'm going to wet my fingers and pull those fibers back, and that'll just help them kick back when we go ahead and wrap this around our fly. And so as I move those hackle pliers around, I'm going to grab that pheasant and just keep pulling it back. And then when we get around that second time, I'm going to go ahead and just do 1, 2 wraps to tie that hackle off, that feather. Do another 2 in front and behind. And then we can go ahead and cut the tip of that feather out. And now you can hand whip finish or use the tool. I personally like to use the tool because I'll do 2 whip finishes on this just in case if a tooth of a trout hits that and cuts it, you got another whip finish, and also helps build that collar in front of that soft hackle for that fly that we were actually looking for. So make sure you cinch that whip finish knot there and cut out your thread. And there we have it. Egan Frenchie jig, soft hackle. Really simple tie, fun to do. They're pretty quick, so you can cram a bunch out and fill that box pretty easy. Thank you for watching Down to Fly. You guys have a good one. Deuces.